let's talk about how you found your way into this role of just knowing all of the rules. How do you get to a position you are
Stumbled
now in the
into it.
NFL?
I didn't have know anything about officiating. It wasn't an interest of mine. I played sports my whole life. I played football. I wasn't good enough to go beyond high school, and I just wanted to stay involved in sports. And growing up in New York, all the major sports organizations have offices in New York City. Sent my resume to all of them. NFL called. They had an internship available. I interviewed in a couple of different departments, and I got the one in officiating, and that was it. Like I just wanted to get my foot in the door. I learned the game from watching film and just looking at tape, learned from an officiating perspective. It's like, okay, I was editing film and I was, put this list of plays together on a tape. It's all offensive holding. And I learned it that way. And then it just kind of evolved from there.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That is all
Awesome.
time.
One thing that's fresh on my mind right now is that call at the end of the game with the Giants.
Yeah.
Why would that not be a call of pass interference on Darren Waller? Because the dude clearly tugged his jersey like as he's trying to go for the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, if I'm the head of officiating, and I'm talking to Brian Dayball this morning, how am I saying that's not a foul? Right? He grabbed his jersey, affected getting his he couldn't get two arms up. You could see, I think it was his left arm that was compromised. And I thought it was a flag. They just threw a flag on the play before. Obviously, they get the untimed down. To me, it was a foul. Obviously, we have this whole, let the players decide the game, but you can't let a team get away with a foul in that situation. They're all close, they're bang bang, but I thought he did grab him, and I certainly, if there had been a flag down, I would have had no problem with that.
But there is something to be said about the last play of the game and like let the boys play, which
Yeah,
you saw in the Super Bowl with the Eagles in Kansas City last year. With that, obviously
Yeah, that's
was a
like
hold,
that
but
one's even less. Like to me, it's like
yeah,
that.
that's a little tug. I believe within 5 yards too. We're kind of like touching and groping is kind of like a
Yeah,
not a frowned upon thing in that situation.
yeah.
So how do we now go as if you're talking to football players where it seems like a more of a biased situation where you can be like, how do you keep it more consistent in the referee realm?
that's it. That's the whole key. That word, in all of my experience around coaches, around players, it's not like we're all going to make mistakes. Like nobody's perfect. I was pretty perfect during the beer Olympics, though I'll say that. But no one is perfect. So we're all going to make mistakes. But if from an official standpoint, you just want consistency. If you're going to call it in the first quarter, call it in the fourth quarter. If you're going to call it on us, you got to call it on them. And so you're always telling the officials, like, it doesn't matter if it's the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl or it's the second quarter in week 6. You got to call it the same. And if you set the bar early in the game, you can't raise that bar or lower that bar depending on the situation, because the players are going to play to that standard. And that's hard. That's hard. You look at the end of the Super Bowl, and that like you said, that was probably less of a hold than what happened in the game, in the game Sunday night.
So how is that like critiqued and taught like behind closed doors? Because clearly, when a situation like that, you don't really hear from the referees right after. Like, you guys kind of operate as a team from the outside looking in. It's like you got the head guy who's going to take the blame. But what do those conversations look like behind closed doors?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much evaluation that goes into officials, like it's crazy. They're evaluated right in the moment. There's replay, coaches, players, the media, TV. We're all evaluating them in real time. And then after the game, like you said, there's a crew, the white hat, the referee, and then there's 6 other officials that work with that crew, and they travel for the most part together throughout the year. And they're evaluated on every play of every game. There's former officials that sit and look at film. They look at coaches' copy. They look at TV. And they look at every call that's made, every call that should have been made. They look at their positioning, their mechanics, and they get an evaluation sheet, a report each week, and that accumulates during the season. So if you don't grade out well, you're not going to get a postseason assignment. You're not, and if you really don't grade out well over the course of maybe 2 or 3 years, they let you go. So there's a real comprehensive evaluation system in place, and so they are held accountable, but we don't see it, right? They don't. the head coach gets up on the podium after the game. You get a microphone in a player's face, but we don't talk to the officials in the league. I think that's good because that can put the officials in a tough spot, but they are evaluated and they are held accountable.
Is there any criteria for a ref to be in shape? Do you guys do like a like maybe run a mile under 15 minutes and
Presidential
do 13
test
push-ups,
growing
some
up.
sort of presidential test? Because you see so many times. First off,
Yeah.
boys are wearing slacks out there. That's a tough look. Maybe grab some shorts in September. But you see a lot of guys they're huffing and puffing, especially the faster the pace of the game gets now with the running clock, as much as it's changed. So is there any evaluation from a cardiovascular stance on referees?
Physical fitness
Yeah,
test.
it's changed. When I first started in like 90, 95, 96, and my first officiating clinic, the requirement was they had to walk a mile. That just finish it, like not die. Like that was the requirement.
Hell yes.
And now
Walk a
there
mile.
really is. It's more comprehensive. They do like you said, more cardiovascular work. There's a fitness program. There's a lot that goes into, and they have to maintain a certain level of fitness just to work. Now, look, they're not going to be as in shape as the players, as how many people are in terms of professional football players, but there is an expectation. And in the preseason, they go through a regimen where they have to kind of pass to make sure that they're in shape enough to work the season. And then they get, they do have resources. They have groups that come in and work with them on their diet, their nutrition, their workout routines, their recovery. So it's come a long way from at least when I started, like in the mid 90s.
Yeah, we might have to jump up that fitness test just a little bit.
Maybe you bring back the presidential fitness test for referee.
Absolutely, that little box where you have to stretch and it
or
measures
how many
Yeah.
exactly how many
Yeah.
setups and push-ups you get in a minute, how fast you run the mile,
right.
the amount of pull-ups, maybe there probably should be a criteria, because even though it is awesome that they get the diet nutrition needs and everything like that, I'm just assuming it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Like some of these old heads might be a little stubborn and be like, okay, I'll show face and eat. Yeah, I've been eating a salad, but it's like, brother, it doesn't look like you've been eating salad.
Yeah, no salads out there. lot of ranch involved. It would, dude. Physical part of being a referee is one thing, but the mental aspect has got to be exhausting, especially for your end. Being like, and when you started in the '90s, there's rules, but everything's kind of like, okay, generally we're playing ball. You let the boys go. Now you sit there. There's a rule for fucking everything. Like, what's your least favorite rule and why? That's what I need to like. What rule just needs to go when it comes to the NFL?
Hang on. To not put them in a tough spot on the rule that needs to go.
To technically put them in a tough spot, but go ahead. Yeah.
Well, if you just say not a rule that needs to go, but what's your least favorite rule? Just period.
Yeah, and why?
I like that you guys like good cop, bad cop. Taylor's like the bad cop.
Whoa.
Will comes in, and I like that. I like that little thing you guys got going.
Detectives.
So I mean, look, you're right. From a mental, think about, right, from an official's perspective, right? It's not like they're on offense and they don't play defense, right? They're every snap, every down, they're out there, and there's a pre-snap routine that they go through. Then you have 6 or 7 seconds of the play with this intense focus, and then the post-play stuff, right? Then they have to officiate that, and then it's okay, we're going again. And so from that standpoint, it is mentally exhausting. And like you said, the rules have changed so much. You just think of the safety rules, like the defenseless player rules. There's more rules that they have to remember. They have to adjust. They have to officiate more things. They have to look for. For me, there isn't a rule that jumps out where I'm like, man, that rule sucks. We got to get rid of it. But I do think we could probably use replay in some of these situations. There was a hit in the 49er Browns
Yes.
game. Gibson gets a flag and on a 3rd and 10 gives the Browns a first down, and I thought it was a legal hit. It was a shoulder to the body, and to give the officials an opportunity to correct that on replay, I think that's something the league needs to continue to look at. But there isn't. I mean, I like the NFL rules. Quite frankly, I like the NFL timing rules more so than college. I think college is trying to come around. They got rid of the stopping the clock on the first downs outside 2 minutes. So I think the NFL rules are in a good place, but it's not easy. It's a complicated rule book, and it's grown over the years.